Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, another Hongdian fountain pen review for you. This was the second one that was sent to me by EasyBuy on Etsy, who's one of the Hongdian dealers. So I'll link to their page down below. Thank you very much to their support and for helping me show you this pen. Today we're looking at the D5X, which is a really interesting pen. As you can see, it came in the traditional sort of a cardboard silver outer sleeve over a traditional Hongdian silver tin. We open it up and there is the pen in its little plastic sleeve. We'll move those out of the way. You can see this is a really ornate pen, and there is a bucket load of information about the symbology and all of that sort of thing that is included on the pen. I'll cover a tiny bit of it today and show some close-ups, but there is so much more than I'm going to be able to cover here. Basically, this pen is designed to pay homage or, sort of represent the Qin dynasty, which was the first dynasty that sort of united China. It's a really interesting period of history, particularly of Chinese history, of course, around sort of the 200-ish BC kind of period. And in fact, I think as this video is going live, or maybe just prior, I will be in China looking at things like the Terracotta Warriors, which are part of that dynasty. Really interesting. Anyway, this is the D5X. There was the D5, which was a piston filler, and the D5X is a cartridge converter pen. It comes in three finishes that I've been able to see: this black with the gun metal, and then a green and a red version. As I said, there's a lot going on this pen, but just a little bit of that. I'll show that in more detail as well in photos and things. But there's a little horned mythical animal that can determine right from wrong there on the finial, and it's a nice flat finial. And then onto the cap, it sort of tapers down, and around the top of the cap we get this figure that is designed to be the Great Wall, which is really fantastic. And then just below that we get a range of more figures. There's like a dragon just there, and a mountain, and as I said, there's a whole lot more going on here. We get bird figures, we get this incredible crossbow arrow clip, which has this really interesting sort of red inlay, which I think is just absolutely stunning. It's a nice springy clip and it does the job beautifully, and there's lots of detail and intricate sort of bits and pieces in the overlay. So it's this sort of gunmetal overlay over a black cap there. And that continues all the way down, and then a little step down onto the barrel. The barrel has this sort of squared armored sort of style plate, or designed to look like plating, and then a few sort of metal rings down it. And then we get the end cap there with, once again, a whole lot more detail, and then some Chinese characters on the bottom. As I said, there is lots of information about this pen online. You can just typing it into YouTube, there'll be so many videos that go into far more intricate detail than I am able to cover here. But that is a few of the features of the design. It is a screw cap pen, and it comes off in 1 and a bit turns, like 1 1/4 turns, which is, nice. It's a nice sort of secure screw cap. And when you take that off, you get a little step down onto some nice threads, and then that squared armor plating style design is continued down the section, which tapers and flares. And then we get this number 6 size Hongdian black steel nib. I have it in an extra fine. It says 1997 on there. It has the Hongdian logo. It says Hongdian and extra fine. I'll show a close-up of that. And then we get a plastic bead. As I said, this version is a cartridge converter pen. So you unscrew it and you get the Hongdian branded converter here, and this isn't traditional standard international size. This is like that Chinese standard size, which is 3.4 millimeters as opposed to the standard 2.6. So you might be able to get some converters and cartridges and things that work in this, but there are Hongdian branded or 3.4 millimeter cartridges from a range of different sort of manufacturers and colors and things, as well as converters designed to fit that. you'll see there is an O-ring there at the end of the barrel threads, and that locks the barrel down nice and secure, so it's not going to get loose when you're writing with it. This is a heavy pen. It is an all metal bodied pen, but it is fantastic. The weight of it in the hand is really nice. The balance of this pen, particularly unposted, is wonderful. It's got a nice, as I said, number 6 size nib, so it's ergonomically quite a good pen. And just generally speaking, it's a beautifully made pen, and all that detail, is well done. There are a lot of pens that go over the top in terms of the detail. I think Hongdian have obviously packed a lot into this pen, and it goes the same on the D5 and the D5S, but I think they've done it in a fairly sort of tasteful way, and if you don't mind a bit of a decorative pen, this is a fantastic one, and it writes like a dream. So let's now do a size comparison and then a writing sample. Okay, for the size comparison today, I've got it alongside the traditional Lamy Safari, or my Frankenfari here, and then the Hongdian N10, which is one of my favorite models from Hongdian. You see that they all line up fairly similar in length. It's a fairly sort of standard pen size, around that 141 to 144 millimeter mark. And they continue that similarity of length when they're uncapped. You see the N10 has the number 8 size nib in comparison to the number 6 on the D5X. The D5X does post, and it's once again similar in length to the N10. And what the D5X has over the D5 is that because the D5 is a piston filler, you're posting it onto the piston, whereas because this is a cartridge converter, you can post this pen without worry of accidentally activating that piston knob. So what are the specific dimensions of the D5X here from Hongdian? Well, it's 143 millimeters when it's capped. It's 131 when it's uncapped. So, a very, very usable length. And it's 175 when it's posted. So it does become quite long, but it also, you do get it a little bit back weighted in this format. Around the middle of the section is around 11 millimeters, and it's about 16 around the cap. Now, the pen weighs 54 grams, 34 in the body and 20 in the cap. So at 34 grams, this is a good solid weight pen, unposted. Posted, you are putting a fair amount of weight on the back there, and a lot of that weight is at the back. So, you do notice it. You can write with it, absolutely, when it's posted. It's verging on a little off balance, in my opinion. Okay, let's do a writing sample now, and I have my traditional Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper here, and this is the Hongdian. Now, I've seen Hongdian written as 2 words, as 1 word. It is what it is. D5X. This has a number 6 steel, extra fine nib, and the ink I have in this today is Lamy Black. When I got this pen, when I opened it up, I automatically knew I'd be inking it with a black ink, and that's all. I've only had black inks in it. I think it's great, and I think it's a perfect pen for a black ink, given sort of that, imagery and the fact that there's so much black involved in the material of the pen. So let's do some writing. There's a little bit of feedback on the nib, but I would say it's definitely not scratchy. I think it's for an extra fine and for a Chinese extra fine, it is pretty good, and it's laying down a nice amount of ink. Like, it's definitely not dry. So I definitely wouldn't call this scratchy. I'd just say there's a gentle bit of feedback, and of course, being quite a fine extra fine, that is amplified. Let's do some quick writing. So the feed definitely keeps up. There's no skipping or sort of hard starting or little glitches or anything. It's a really consistent nib. Reverse writing it's even finer, little drier, and we had a bit of a nib splat there. There we go, back on track. But it is, a very nice writer, just maybe not for reverse writing. Flex, you can get a tiny bit of line variation out of it. It's not a bouncy or flexy nib or a soft nib, but there's just a little bit of spring in it, so you can get just a hint of line variation out of there. But generally speaking, I think this is a really nice sort of wet, extra fine nib. I enjoy writing with it. I've really loved writing with this nib. In fact, I love extra fines for things like, my Hobonichis and things like that, or my 0.5 grid stuff that I do. And often I use a black ink for that. So this has proved really, really lovely. It's a combination I'm really enjoying in a pen I really like. So the Hongdian D5X, depending on where you get it, retails for between 60 and 80 Australian dollars. Now, I will link to the Easy Buy Etsy page down below, so you can check it out there. It is, it's sort of what I consider to be sort of that premium end of the Hongdian, especially for a cartridge converter. But there is so much going on. There's so much detail and sort of work being done to create this interesting pen. A pen that isn't going to be for everyone. And that's probably my biggest con, is that this design will not be for everyone. A lot of people just don't like pens with this much sort of going on. They like a plainer pen, and generally sort of I do as well. But I think given my interest in Chinese history and particularly the Qin dynasty, this pen speaks to me personally as well, which is quite nice. A couple of other things people may not like are the texture on the grip. Now, for me, that stops this metal grip section becoming slippery. It's just enough grip to allow it to be very comfortable. I've not had problems with this being slippery or, feeling like it's sliding around in my hand or anything. The weight also helps with that. And that weight will be a con for some people. It is definitely not a light pen. This is a heavy pen. It is, for its size, it's big in the hand. So what are the pros for this pen? Well, firstly, that nib, it's a really good solid extra fine, as in like the line width is a good extra fine. It's very smooth. As I said, it's quite wet. It's super reliable, all of that kind of stuff. And then, there are the design elements that I really enjoy. I like the red accent on the cap there through the middle of that sort of crossbow arrow clip. I think that's fantastic. I think the way that all the detail is actually done, and the quality of the actual printing and everything of it is really high quality. The build quality is fantastic. Things like that O-ring at the top of the section to make sure that the barrel stays nice and solid in place, it's all really good. The grip that allows on the pen, I think there's so much going for this pen. I think it's a fantastic pen. I think it's an interesting pen, and it's a pen model that I think very carefully and cleverly treads the correct side, for my taste at least, of that sort of highly designed, sort of intricately designed pen. So this was the Hongdian D5X. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. A big thank you to Easy Buy for providing this for review. As I said, I'll link to their page down below so you can check this out if you are interested in it. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. It all helps the algorithm and helps me to continue making videos for you. If you've got a way you'd like to support the channel, I'd really love to hear from you also. So, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.